The inaugural Air Pacific Daily Post International Sevens final gets underway. It's an all Fijian affair. Fiji, the national side, from right to left in the first half, up against the local team, Suva, the side that accounted for both Canada and New Zealand in pool play. It was a very tough pool they drew, Canada, New Zealand, and one of the other Fijian provincial sides, Rewa. Yet Suva strolled through the pool matches unbeaten with 3 convincing wins through the quarters and the semis and into the final up against the Fijian national side, who on paper anyway, of course, should have the measure of their opponents. It's very dark here in the afternoon. The television camera rather deceptive. It's getting on to 6 o'clock in the evening on this cloudy but humid afternoon here in Fiji. But of course, the heat won't be a problem to these 14 players out here. And immediately an opportunity arises here for the Fijian side as the ball is kicked ahead by Filimone Seru, but it goes into touch 10 metres from the corner flag. Nearly 30,000 people here, and the only occasion that the locals can recall a bigger crowd for a rugby match was when Andy Leslie's All Blacks played here back in 1974 in a memorable match which Fiji nearly won. Some would probably argue to this day that they should have won. And a head count of around about 29,000 apparently that day. Well, the stadium has changed quite a lot since then. It used to be called Buckhurst Park back in 1974. Since then, there's been an all-weather athletic track, and this new big stadium has been built, rather reminiscent to the one at QE2 Park in Christchurch. And so the capacity of the ground has changed a little, but it's close to 30,000 here today. As Vonolagi with a touch finder from inside his own 22. You can see the people are rimmed all around the playing field. They've allowed a few extra thousand people in the last hour or two, because even at 9:30 this morning the ground was at capacity. So the 30,000 folk have been here since 9:30 this morning, 9 hours ago. And the throw didn't go 5 metres, and so the scrum midway 22 and halfway. 10 minutes each way in this final. That's Pita Naruma on the loose head side of the scrum there for Suva. He's the experienced member of the Suva side. He played at fullback, the first 5'8" for Fiji back in the 1980s. And here's an opportunity for Suva. They had men out there wide. The intention of the pass was fine, but the execution left a little to be desired. And now Serevi, dangerous tackle on Serevi. The referee allows play to continue. Seru sees a little half gap. And this time, the penalty will be awarded. The referee was playing advantage there for that high tackle on Serevi. Out as far as Waisea. And away comes Maraiwai. But it's been a rather scrappy start to this match. We've seen some wonderful rugby here, but each side has been marking the other very closely in his first couple of minutes. Now Serevi tries to get something going, and he nearly eluded the defence, but the ball has gone loose, scooped up by Saimoni. Now the race is on. Saimoni, but 3 Fijians back there ahead of Saimoni as they scamper away from inside their 22. Eparama decides to fling the ball wide out to his teammate Jone Roqica. Roqica just slowing the game down. 2 men outside of him, goes for the outside break. In the finish, he's squeezed between both of them. So again, this hard tackling marking this final. That's releasing the ball, and the penalty to Suva. Not tempted to kick for goal. Just outside the 22, as who's this Vonolagi, is it? He's the danger man on the Suva side. Crunch 15 metres from his own line. And what's the referee say?
We'll come back for the knock on.
Vonolagi losing the ball forward in that heavy tackle. And the scrum to take place just 10 metres from the Fijian line. Now the Fijian side have just sailed through this tournament. They really seldom had to get beyond first gear in any of their matches so far and still been able to win them by 30 points. But they finding it a little harder to come by points in this match, and a very close call there as some rather slack defensive work and some sloppy passes nearly gave away a try. So 5 minutes of the match gone. We're halfway through the first spell. No score on the match so far. And the fact that the Suva side, first of all, was able to make the final and compete with this Fijian team in a way that none of the foreign sides have is just another indication of the tremendous depth of sevens players here in Fiji. This is Maraiwai slipping out of a tackle, but away come the Fijians. This is Jone that kicks ahead, Savou giving chase, and back there for Suva, and guiding the ball into touch was Jeremiah. But very few opportunities so far for this Fijian national side. Josateki Savou was who kicked and chased. 6 minutes into the first half. And here it is, surely must be the first try of the match. Lovely move at the front of the line-out. Lovely hands. And it was Savou that finished it off. It's 5 points to 0, but it's taken the Fijians the best part of 7 minutes to post the first points in this final. From the line-out, the tap. No one there to mark Savou. And the two men that arrived got there late. He was in for the try, 5-0. So Waisale Serevi with this almost a comic way he kicks his goals. Just a couple of steps, and you'll notice that as he runs into the ball, he virtually stops and then chips the ball. Describe it any way you like. It's usually fairly effective. 7 points to 0. Waisale Serevi adding the extra 2. And the Fijian national side under a lot of pressure here, of course. It would be acutely embarrassing if they were to be beaten by a local side. In this, the prestige and first ever international sevens here on Fijian soil. So high expectations from this rugby-mad country, and believe you me, you could travel the entire world and you'd never come across a town or a country that has a passion for sevens rugby like the Fijians do. And Waisale again kicking long and deep. Kick that, of course, Grant Fox would be proud of from a very acute angle, just rolls it into touch. So it's been a rather subdued effort by the Fiji sevens side in this final. It's been a very useful workout for them, of course, with the Hong Kong Sevens tournament about to get underway. And Jeremiah to feed the line out just a few meters inside the 22. The tap down to Waki. Waki, the long pass across to Waisea, out to Seru. Seru into Waisea, and the final pass goes astray. Just over a minute of the first half remaining, and just the one try so far. And we've got a stoppage for injury across on the far side. One of the Suva players has come down. The manager of the Fijian team looking a little anxious there as he walks around with his side only 5 points ahead, 7 points ahead. It's the Fijian bench, the Scottish and Canadian players. There's Big Al Sharon and the Canadian jersey. And New Zealanders are down there as well somewhere. The Looks like it might be Vonolagi, who's the key player in the Suva backline that suffered the injury, but he's a little groggy, but he's taking his place there on the goal line. And Suva under pressure again in the final minute of the first half. Probably happy just to keep the Fijians at bay and restrict the score to 7-0 at half-time. That wouldn't be a bad effort by the Suva side. No one has got as close as that to them in any of their previous matches in this tournament. And the Fijian side getting a lot more ball as the further this match goes. Seru manages to free it to Serevi. He has to score in the final, surely. Yes, he does. He looks such a frail little figure, doesn't he? But he's just absolutely electrifying every time he gets the ball. Featured twice in this movement, just floating that beautiful pass out there to his teammate Seru, who did extremely well to stand up in the tackle and feed it on to Serevi, and the little goose step, which has become increasingly popular since it was introduced by David Compisi, and Serevi has used it to good effect over the last couple of days. And the Fijian side out to a 12-0 lead. Serevi now with 7 of those points. Began the tournament yesterday with 20 points in the opening match. And that's not a bad looking kick either. Just didn't quite have the legs. And that is half time, is it? 12 points to 0. The Fijian national side and the Hong Kong champions lead Suva with 10 minutes of the Air Pacific Daily Post International Sevens to go.
One world of sport.
From Sunday, April 4th, Air Pacific takes off from Nadi with a direct, non-stop service to Christchurch. Now enjoy heavenly service every Sunday to Christchurch with Air Pacific.
One world of sport.
Second half of this Air Pacific Daily Post final about to get underway with the Fijian national side ahead by 12 points to 0 at the break. 2 first half tries. As Serevi quickly into the fray again, trying to free the ball as he turns over on his back, but it's one back on the Suva side, but doesn't look as if it will be for long, as it's again in the hands of Seru. And Seru manages to chip the ball into touch, rolling it into touch just inside the Suva half. Eparama at the front of the line out for Fiji. He's the veteran in the Suva side, and Pita Naruma. Tapped away by Waki, and away goes Savou again, kicking back, chipping back on the angle. Racing back there is Vonolagi. And Saimoni there as well as they move the ball wide inside their own 22. The kick and chase. Serevi, however, is back there. Now Serevi has had to start from a flat point, whereas the Suva fellow was racing through with the speed of knots. Serevi was at a standstill, and he quickly got into top gear. But Maraiwai not clever enough for the sweet skills of Waisale Serevi. A close call there for the national side, hit by 12 points to 0. They would not want to concede a try here. And it's very dark here at the National Stadium as the huge big lighting towers suddenly light up the ground. Waisea inside his own 22, no way through there. The kick and chase again. Maraiwai racing back to his 22. Seru is there as well, and into touch it goes. So the final has been something of an anticlimax. It's been a very close and tight final. without the free-flowing rugby we've seen in some of the earlier matches.
Comes forward. No more white.
Being knocked forward by number 27 for Suva. So the scrum a few metres outside the Suva 22 as Joe Savou prepares to feed the scrum, the halfback for the Fijian side. As Serevi goes the short side, but this time the kick's a little too deep. But it rolled into touch in the field of play just a metre from the corner flag. The calm, placid waters of Lathala Bay providing this wonderful backdrop here to the National Stadium. Perfect weather has prevailed here for the 2 days of this competition. Under all sorts of pressure on their own line as Saimoni knocks the ball on in goal, and so the scrum to go down a couple of metres, 5 metres from the line, and a chance here for Fijian side to add to their 12-point lead. They've really had to work hard for the advantage they've gained in this match. This has easily been their toughest match so far. And again unable to clear the ball cleanly from the scrum. And again coming through very effectively and spoiling it for Fiji was Saimoni. But they do concede the penalty, so the free kick. Good launching pad here for the Fiji national side as Eparama tries to bustle his way through using his bulk. And two of the Fijians there, Serevi there as well, but the ball looked as if it was spilled forward. But no, the Fijians have been penalised there for not releasing the ball. It was Eparama that was penalised. And when all else fails, booted. Thinks Vonolagi as he boots the ball 50 metres down the field, and Serevi happy to see the ball roll into touch. Penisoni Waki to feed this line out, midway 22 and halfway. Halfway through the second spell, 4 minutes and 50 seconds left in this final, and again it wasn't straight. A lot of unforced errors here. Been a very tiring 2 days for these two teams, and I think it's starting to show here. There just isn't the same sharpness or penetration or incisiveness about the play of these two sides that we've seen earlier in the weekend. And the Fijian side looking as if they'll be quite happy just to hang on to this 12-point lead. Waisea, the kicking game becoming increasingly prominent in this match.
Early tackle.
Early tackle, says the referee. Jeremiah. Jeremiah again. This is the big man, Vonolagi, and away goes Inoke Maraiwai as well, but Seru is back there. Eparama eventually gets a hand on it for Fiji, and it's anyone's ball out there as it's being tapped around in any number of directions. The first defence was a knock on by Suva, and the scrum just outside the 22.
Knock on blue, eh? Second advantage.
So no addition to the half-time score. Been a really scrappy
Get in and steady.
second half final here.
Come on.
Now Serevi with a chance to cook something up from inside his own half. Savou it is, however, that decides to kick and chase. Serevi's just staying behind, looking a little tired and jaded. And Savou, on his own, had no option really but to kick from there. And it was a sensible, intelligent kick, causing Suva to have to scamper the ball into touch from a few metres from their own line. Naruma, but this pass goes astray. So just over 2 minutes of this final remaining, still no change to that half-time score. The national side ahead by 12 points to 0. There's a Jeremiah into the line-out, tap back by Seva. Simeone and Nakuma looking rather dejected, and with himself gets a pat on the back from one of his Fijian mates there, number 2, the Fijian hooker, Jone Roqica. All this rather looks like play in slow motion here between these two teams. There's Serevi again, this time working the left-hand side, and look at the strength of Seru. Filimone Seru, one of the stars of the Hong Kong side Fijian team in recent years. And he took that pace, he took that ball at full pace and just bolted his way through a tackle. Switch of direction, good thinking there from Serevi. Saw there was only 2 Suva players out there on the left-hand side, and Filimone Seru just ran straight at the opponents. They didn't like that, and he broke through easily for the try. That's made it safe for the Fijian side. They're ahead by 17 points to 0 as Serevi makes it 19-0. And with now less than a minute remaining in this final, the Fijian national side on the brink of claiming the title in this inaugural Air Pacific Daily Post International Sevens. The first time an International Seven-a-side tournament has been held here in Fiji, and appropriately enough, it will be the champion Fijian side that claims the major prize. As Vonolagi restarts play. Well, we've seen some fairly ordinary kicks from the restart, and that would be one of the worst, as he hooks it back into his own half, and back to the centre of the halfway mark we come.
No more. Binding, carry on. Go on.
So into the scrum it goes, and away comes Serevi again. The match safely won here by Fiji, and Savou with a very quick turn of speed. Can't get away entirely from the cover defence, but some good support play there from Eparama, and the Fijians turning it on in the last couple of minutes with 2 tries. There is the hooter for full time. 24-0. It's Fiji with the kick to come. The crowd set to invade the pitch upon the sound of the hooter. There are people wandering all around the paddock, and the Fijian players not in any hurry by the look of it to go through the conversion. It looked as if Savou may have got there on his own, but good thinking. He knew he had support there from Eparama looming up on the inside, stopped, made the back pass, and finished off by the big prop forward. Well, it's been a wonderful weekend of rugby here in Suva, and I guess the enduring memory that most visitors will take away with them was the staggering depth of sevens talent in this country. Of the 6 Fijian sides in the 16-man competition, as Serevi adds the final 2 points for a 26-0 victory. Of the 6 Fijian sides in the 16-man tournament, 6 of them made the quarter-finals, 4 of them made the semis. It was an all-Fijian final, and as expected, the best 7 side in the world, the Fijian national team, too strong for Suva, winning by 26-0 to conclude what has been the most historic and memorable weekend here in Fiji for Fijian rugby. So this magnificent trophy claimed by Waisale Serevi on behalf of his teammates in the Fijian national side, winning a tournament that would appear to have all the possibilities of becoming a major international event in years to come. Fantastic crowds here for the past 2 days. Must have been in excess of 50,000 people have watched